Pull up a chair. Tonight, I want to tell you about a woman named Rachel Coleman and a phone call that arrived at exactly the wrong number and exactly the right time. Rachel didn't know it yet, but by the end of this story, she would trade the life she thought she had for one that was finally entirely her own. The message came in at 9:40 in the evening, while Rachel was folding towels on the guest bed. It was from a number she didn't recognize. "Hi, Vanessa. Just confirming your final details for Saturday. Reception starts at 6. Your husband Mark walks you down the aisle at 6:30. So excited for you both." Rachel read it 3 times. She didn't know of Vanessa. She was fairly certain, however, that her own husband was named Mark, and that as far as she understood, he already had a wife, her. She set the phone down on the folded towels, and for a long moment she simply stood there, very still, listening to her own heartbeat, and to nothing else at all in the empty house. Rachel Coleman was 41 years old, and she had spent the last 12 years working as a paralegal at a small family law firm 2 towns over, the kind of job where she spent her days reading other people's divorce filings, custody agreements, and property disputes. She used to joke that she had seen every way a marriage could fall apart, at least on paper. She knew the language of betrayal better than most people knew the language of their own jobs, the specific wording that shows up in a filing when one spouse has been quietly building an exit while the other one still believes they're standing in the same house. She was about to learn there was one way she had never seen coming, because it was happening inside her own house, under her own name. She and Mark had been married for 15 years. He ran a small commercial insurance agency, 2 counties away, traveled often for client meetings, and had, for the last 8 months, been spending 3 or 4 nights a week at what he called a rental unit closer to his biggest account. Easier on the drive, he'd told her, and she had believed him, the way you believe someone you've built an entire life with, the way you stop double-checking a person once you've trusted them for a decade and a half. There had been small moments, looking back, that Rachel hadn't let herself examine too closely at the time. A second phone, he said, was for work. A weekend conference that never showed up on any hotel statement she could find, though she hadn't gone looking for one until now. A new habit of stepping outside to take calls that used to happen right in front of her. None of it had seemed like proof of anything. It had simply seemed like a marriage settling into its middle years, the way marriages do. Their daughter was away at college now. The house that used to be loud most evenings had gone quiet, and Rachel had told herself the quiet was simply what came next. A new chapter, nothing more. She didn't confront him that night, and if you know anything about paralegals, you already know exactly why. She didn't cry, and she didn't call him. Instead, she opened her laptop at the kitchen table and did what 12 years of legal work had trained her to do. She started with public records. It took less than an hour to find a marriage license application, filed 6 weeks earlier, in a county 3 hours away, listing Mark Coleman and a woman named Vanessa Ruiz. Rachel felt something in her chest go very cold and very steady at the same time. She kept working, night after night, always after Mark had gone to bed, the blue light of the laptop the only thing awake in the house. She found the lease for the rental unit Mark had described as closer to the office. It was under both names, signed 8 months earlier, in a building with a doorman who, according to a delivery review Rachel found online, already knew Vanessa by name. She found a joint checking account, opened that same month, funded, she discovered, by a small but steady stream of transfers out of the business account she and Mark technically co-owned. Amounts small enough that she had never noticed them missing from a balance she rarely checked closely. Because she had never had a reason not to trust the numbers, she printed every document. She made copies of the copies and stored a set at her sister's house, a habit she recognized from a dozen client files where the smartest thing a person ever did was make sure the evidence existed somewhere their spouse couldn't reach it. She did not confront Mark that week, or the next, because she had learned, professionally, that a person confronted too early simply learns to hide better. and disappears before anyone can build a real case. Instead, she watched the calendar count down toward a date that kept appearing in venue emails and photographer invoices forwarded to her by mistake from an account she was never supposed to see. Saturday. This Saturday. The wedding Vanessa had no idea was already a crime in progress, and Mark had no idea Rachel had found. Rachel arrived at the venue 40 minutes before the ceremony, dressed simply, carrying a folder instead of a gift. She found the wedding coordinator first, the same woman whose text had started all of it, and introduced herself calmly as Mark Coleman's wife. The coordinator's face moved through several emotions very quickly, landing somewhere between confusion and dawning horror. Rachel didn't wait for her to settle on one. She asked, politely, to speak with Vanessa alone, for 2 minutes, before anyone said anything they couldn't take back in front of 100 guests already finding their seats under a string of white lights. Vanessa came out in her dress, already glowing, already certain of her own mourning, and stopped walking the moment she saw Rachel's face. "I'm not here to ruin your day," Rachel said quietly. "I'm here because you deserve to know what he's actually done, before you sign your name next to his." She held out the folder, the marriage license Mark had never filed a divorce to obtain, the joint account funded with money that legally belonged to a business Rachel co-owned, the lease with both their names on it, 8 months of a double life documented in dates that lined up with business trips Rachel had once believed without question. 15 years of a marriage Mark had simply never bothered to end. Vanessa's hands were shaking by the second page, and by the third, she wasn't reading anymore. She was simply staring at the date on the marriage license, doing the same math Rachel had already done weeks earlier. Somewhere inside, Rachel could hear Mark's voice, easy and confident, greeting guests, entirely unaware that the two women holding his entire future were standing 40 feet away, reading the truth together for the first time. The wedding did not happen that day. Vanessa left the venue in her dress, in her own car, and never spoke to Mark again, except through an attorney handling what would eventually become a fraud complaint of her own. Rachel's own case moved quickly once the paper trail was already assembled, filed, and organized exactly the way she had been trained to organize a case for 15 years. Mark lost access to the joint accounts within the week. His insurance agency lost its biggest client not long after. Once word travels the way it does in a small business community, where everyone eventually hears everything. Rachel kept the house. She kept her name. 6 months later, she left the law firm where she had spent 12 years reading about other people's disasters and opened a small practice of her own, one that specifically helps women untangle finances hidden inside a marriage, the quiet kind of theft that never shows up as a bruise but empties a life just the same. She named it after no one in particular. It didn't need her story attached to matter. It just needed to exist, and it needed to be there for the next woman who found something she wasn't supposed to see, at exactly the wrong number, on exactly the right night. Rachel told me once that the strangest part wasn't finding out. It was how calm she felt the entire time she was building her case, like some part of her had been quietly preparing for this her whole career, without ever knowing why she was learning all those skills in the first place. So tell me, whoever's listening tonight, do you think Vanessa ever forgave herself for not asking more questions? Or do you think some people are simply built to believe the version of a story that's easiest to live inside? Pull up a chair again next week, and I'll tell you another one. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.